Hello everybody out there watching on YouTube, and welcome to race number 12 of Season 6 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. We have reached the 1/3 point of the season. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Mountain Dew 400 at Darlington Raceway as we're getting set for 38 laps of racing here at the Lady in Black. But before we take a look at the starting lineup, let's take a look at how the point standings look coming into the race today. So after last week at Sonoma, Cole Deaver leads the point standings by 32 points over Rob Evans. Third is Matt McIntyre, fourth James McLeod, fifth Anthony McCrory, sixth Caleb Kilburn, seventh is our pole sitter for tonight, Jake Baskinger, eighth Jessica Shelton, ninth Dylan Poteet, and then rounding out the top 10 in points, Bradley Zorgdrager into 66. So that is a look at the top 10 in the point standings coming into the race today. But let's take a look at the starting lineup for the race here at Darlington. Starting in the last row are Caleb Kilburn and Rob Evans. Top 10, Jake Baskinger on the pole. Starting next to him is fellow Bass Pro Shop sponsored vehicle Jay Jefferson. Row 2 will comprise of Cody Lamas, Jessica Shelton. Row 3, Dylan Poteet and Charles Sanford. Row 4, Johnny Gardner, Seth Cole, and then row 5, Dylan Jacobs and Cole Deaver. Let's go ahead and get the command to fire engines for the Mountain Dew 400 at Darlington.
Drivers, start your engines!
All 40 drivers rolling on the racetrack for their one pace lap. Now, of course, this is the 400 miler here at Darlington, which means when we get to the Southern 500 at the third point of the season, race 24, the race laps this race is 38 laps, but the 500 is going to be 44 laps. So wait till we get to the 500 here in a couple of months, and we'll see just how crazy the racing will get whenever the race is a little bit longer and at a later portion of the season. But of course, the big thing you want to avoid is the Darlington stripe off of turn 4 here. If you're running too high up, you will get the wall, and that's not what you want to do. Pace car into pit road. Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing. Jake Baskinger led the first lap, but we have a massive crash on the front stretch, and over goes Jay Jefferson, who I saw get the wall, and he's stuck upside down. Caleb Kilburn with major front end damage as Jefferson came to rest on his roof. As the cars are trying to slow down as the caution has just been waived. A lot of cars damaged. Carson Gumbs got some big-time damage from the looks of it. I saw, Michael Norman got damage in that whole mess. James Qualls. Looks like Chris Dollarton got involved as well. Phil Parker with a piece. Maybe even Bradley Zorgdrager. Yes, he got rear-end damage out of that. There's Qualls' machine. James McLeod looked like he got a little damage. Rob Evans, who started dead last, massive buckle on the front end of his race car as the majority of the field is elected to come into pit road, and it's going to be kind of confusing as to who's going to come out ahead, considering it looked like some of the cars running in the back from that wreck came into the pits first, and then the leaders all came in afterwards. So I'm not entirely sure as to what's going on with this pit road issue, but side by side between Jordan Forbes and Joshua Sakuli, although You see a little rear end damage on the back of the 77 of Forbes. I'm not sure as to who's going to be the race leader when we get back to green flag conditions, but let's go ahead and take you to the replay and find out what brought the caution out for the first time tonight here at Darlington. So all this begins in the middle of turns 3 and 4. Jay Jefferson, who started second, ends up getting the wall, and then look at Tim Fiegel. He had too big of a run, gets into the back of the 87 of Jefferson, and then into Norman, and this is where this all really gets going, is right there. Jefferson comes up in front of Kyle Matthews, and actually a big hit for the 2 of Dylan Young. I didn't even see that. And as you can see, a lot of drivers go spinning. Carson Gum took a pretty vicious hit into the inside wall. Cole Baker, he's going to hit the inside wall as well right there. Qualls actually got rear-ended very hard by somebody. It might have been Rob Evans. And then right there was the hit to the 87 of Jefferson that got him to barrel roll a few times. And that's how the 87 ended up coming to rest on his roof. Right there, the hit from teammate Jordan Forbes as they were slowing down. A lot of different looks we're going to have to go through here. Let's try and get to the 2 of Dylan Young and see what happened with him, because I saw he got hit pretty good by somebody. Let's see who it was. Oh, right there from Carson Gum, got him up off the ground for a second. And then let's watch the 70 of James Qualls come into this. Another hit for the 2 right there. It looks like, no, it was Caleb Kilburn who hit the 70 right there. And then Chris Dollarton got hit pretty hard from the 88 of Rob Evans. So this has been by far the biggest wreck we have had all season long. And this is going to probably take out a good quarter of the field as a result of all this chaos that ensued. All began when Jay Jefferson ran too high on the racetrack and got the outside wall, and then they were double wide next to him, and that's where it all began. So tough break for a lot of drivers who could have been high quality contenders for this race. But that was a look at everything that took place. Let's take you to the restart here at Darlington. Well, the drivers out of the race after that first caution and are guaranteed in the bottom 5 are Seth Cole, Jay Jefferson, Carson Gum, Caleb Kilburn, and Rob Evans. But this is going to be a very chaotic restart because there are a lot of drivers tail end on the lead lap and a lot of lap down cars. So this is going to be I'm expecting a wreck to happen right here with this restart. But Jake Baskinger is still the race leader. Second is Johnny Gardner. Third, Dylan Poteet. Fourth, Charles Sanford. Fifth is Dylan Jacobs. Sixth, Matt McIntyre. Seventh, Joey Parkhill. Eighth, Cole Deaver. Ninth, Melissa Alexander. 10th, Jessica Sheldon. And then the rest of the lead lap cars in line are Jonathan Zorline, Joshua Collard, Kyle Matthews, and Cody Lamas. But then you got a lot of other drivers on the lead lap but are restarting in front of the leaders, and then a ton of lap down cars. So this restart is going to be very chaotic, considering a good portion of those lap down cars are damaged and are probably not going to be up to speed. But we're back underway here at this Mountain Dew 400 at Darlington, as already chaos has ensued, and already you can tell with some lap down cars being very, very heavily damaged. But they are double wide throughout the field because of all this, so. But Jake Baskinger right now maintaining the race lead, and so far nobody's got the wall this time by, and it looks like we're going to get through this lap green, which is good. Hard to tell who's running second right now. I think it's still Gardner, but he's stuck on the outside line, but next to and behind some of those slower cars. But look at the gap with these 5 cars. Actually, up here, we got Trent Dunham and Benjamin Miles battling for the 15th position as these guys have pulled well ahead of everyone else, and then Jordan Forbes somehow has gotten off to an advantage, and then you got 5 cars that have broken away from everyone behind. Fiegel, Fitzwater, McLeod, Baker, and Norman, and they're all in freight train formation. And then the last car I think that's on the lead lap is Emmanuel Hartnett for now, because here comes the leader, Baskinger, to the inside. And then it's a long ways back to second place, Johnny Gardner right now. Almost 2 seconds. Dylan Young with heavy damage. And then we got third back here with Dylan Jacobs. Although we just got another spinner. It's Dylan Young again, right in front of traffic. Hard crash. Joey Parkhill with a vicious crash. Points leader Cole Deaver was involved. Charles Sanford, more damage to the 83 of Darlington. Holy cow, and up into the catch fence went the 26 of Parkhill. I hope he's okay. That was a brutal, brutal crash. Dylan Young, I hope he's alright too. He took a hard hit himself. Unbelievable. And already, drivers coming in the pit road again. Man, we're off to a rather chaotic start here at Darlington as numerous cars heavily damaged. Look at the engine smoke pouring out of the 03 of Sanford, and he comes into this race last in points. Pretty much he's having a repeat of last season, so it's been a tough last couple of seasons already for the 03 of Sanford, and that bad luck continues. But a lucky break for some of those lead lap cars in front of the leader, like Benjamin Miles, Trent Dunham and company. I would assume they're going to get to restart behind the leader now. I don't know, unless we have another scoring problem, because a lot of drivers, including, Johnny Gardner's the race leader now. He stayed out. But let's go ahead and take you to the replay of what brought the caution out for the second time today here at Darlington. Well, here's a look at what happened. So Dylan Young, who was clearly off the pace after that first big one that took place, and then we go to helicopter camera, and it looks like Dylan Young comes down, doesn't realize that second place runner, Johnny Gardner, was there, and gets turned down the front, or the backstretch, and then Dylan Young hits the inside wall really hard, but the real action is going to start when he comes back into traffic, right in front of Joey Parkhill. And watch the 26. Up into the air, Dylan Young goes airborne, and then right there the hit from Darlington is what's going to send the 26 spiraling into the catch fence and flipping over. Both ends of his race car hit that catch fence, and then right there is the contact from Charles Sanford into the 26 that pretty much ruined his race car. As let's go back up here and watch what happens with the 26 whenever the 2 comes back up into traffic. A lot of drivers did an excellent job getting by. Dylan Jacobs, Jessica Shelton, Joshua Collard, Jonathan Zorling did a fantastic job of avoiding all this chaos. As the 26 of Parkhill, this has by far been the scariest wreck we've had all season. But when we come through Darlington, the name Joey Parkhill is going to be remembered for having one of the wildest wrecks in the history of Darlington, if not the wildest wreck we have had at Darlington. I don't know, we've had a couple wild wrecks that were crazier than that, but this is certainly the latest one on that list. But let's go ahead and take you to the restart here at Darlington. Well, we are down to 30 cars on the racetrack as Charles Sanford is out along with Joey Parkhill, Cole Deaver, Chris Darlington, and Dylan Young. But they got lucky in that they're not getting bottom 5 and still are going to get points, but certainly not the way they would want to get points. But James Shelley being the last car on the lead lap in front of the leaders, and we still got numerous cars a lap down, restarting on the inside, so just going through the ticker instead of going one by one because it'll be too confusing. But Johnny Gardner is your race leader, second Jessica Shelton, third is Joshua Collard, fourth Matt McIntyre, fifth is Jake Baskinger. 6th, Dylan Poteet. 7th, Kyle Matthews. 8th, Dylan Jacobs. 9th, Jonathan Zorling. 10th, Melissa Alexander. And then the rest of the lead lap cars, Trent Dunham, Benjamin Miles, Cody Lamas. And then right in front of the leader is James Shelley. Of course, the rest of the field are all one lap down. The rest of the 16 cars outside of the 30 cars on track still a lap down and are going to be off the pace. But we're back underway here at Darlington, and Gardner and all the lead lap cars had to restart on the outside, as the cars on the inside were all one or more laps down. But already some of those lead lap cars making strides to go to the bottom to try and get some runs going. And right now the furthest ahead of those guys on the inside who's on the lead lap is Dylan Jacobs, and he actually goes by for the race lead as Anthony McCurry's holding up that outside lane. So now the 78 of Dylan Jacobs has the race lead, and I think second now would be Benjamin Miles, I want to say. Right there, and then you got Cody Lamas, who somehow got all the damage repaired from the earlier incidents that took place, and up to third. Meanwhile, then you got Gardner Sheldon, who might end up battling now for that fourth position. Then Collard, then McIntyre, Matthews, Alexander, and then Baskinger, and then Trent, Zorling, and then Shelley's further up ahead, as well as a lot of other cars that are now back on the lead lap, at least for now, until the 78 gets away up to him, as the 78 of Dylan Jacobs continuing to lead the way, following in line behind Emmanuel Hartnett, as right now the cars that would be back on the lead lap now would be Hartnett, McLeod, Fitzwater, Baker, Parker, I want to say, or is he multi-laps down? No, he's still, I think, a lap down. I think he was 2 laps down earlier. But I don't know, it's a rather bizarre situation with how spread out the field is now as a result of all this traffic. But we're closing in on the halfway point here at Darlington. Dylan Jacobs right now in the race lead, as Dylan Jacobs, like I've said, not off to the best start to defend his championship from last season. Or it could be a bright spot here today at Darlington, as he's been lucky avoiding every bit of chaos that has ensued here at the beginning at Darlington. But now we're getting into a nice green flag run. But the 78 doesn't have anyone around him to be challenged by. The closest one is Miles, but Miles has got about 6 lapped cars in front of him to have to deal with. And he's stuck in line on the bottom behind lapped cars. As right now, James Shelley, Zachary Fitzwater fighting to stay on the lead lap. But I got a feeling the 78, he's not going to be very happy with this. But now here comes the 78 underneath the 12 to put him a lap down. So that'd be one less car to put up with up here at the front. And just one more left in front of him, and that's James Shelley, former teammate affiliate from last season, right there in front of him. And I think I saw McLeod get the outside wall again. Not a very good race for that 51 car, as he was last scored 21st, still 1 lap down. 14 cars still on the lead lap, but Shelley is just hanging on by the smallest thread right now. As meanwhile, second place Benjamin Miles trying to finally get around these lapped cars in hopes he can get a run. Oh, but they can't. Oh, we got a big crash. Huge crash, and the leader was involved. Dylan Jacobs was caught up in this. Oh, man, they got to do well of a job avoiding, and they're still wrecking. Dylan Jacobs was the leader and ends up getting taken out because of lap traffic. I don't even know who's got the lead now. I want to say Miles has got the race lead, but I don't even see him. Okay, there he is, up there. As the caution comes out once again for another big one. Man, we've had 3 big ones here tonight, here at Darlington. But now that we're past halfway, I think we might be able to have a properly ordered restart lineup. Although there's gonna be lap cars in between now, still. But Benjamin Miles has the race lead now as a result of that chaos ensuing once again. But let's go ahead and take a look and see what brought out the caution for the 3rd time tonight here at Darlington. Well, here's a look at what happened. So the leaders were approaching the 61 of Anthony McCurry and the 70 of James Qualls, who are well off the pace. But right there, Shelley just flat out runs over the 61 instead of going low onto the racetrack to avoid, and as a result, right in front of the leader, Dylan Jacobs, he gets caught up in someone else's mess. I don't know about that. I feel like there's going to be problems between the 71 to 61, and then as you see more cars getting collateral damage as a result, Jake Rogers, Bradley Zorgdrager got involved, Hartnett took a pretty hard hit into the outside wall. And then some cars ended up having to scrape the wall just to avoid all the cars that were sitting on the racetrack as a result of everything that took place. But I think McCurry gets hit again. Yeah, right there by Michael Norman, and I think that might do it for Michael Norman tonight. Unless he somehow, by some miracle, survives. Kyle Matthews ended up... Yeah, Matthews, Forbes, Zorleen, and I even think perhaps DJ Curtis all ended up having to go up against the wall to avoid everything. So, but Benjamin Miles and Cody Lamas, Johnny Gardner, Jessica Sheldon were the lucky ones of the leaders to get through without damage, and are more likely going to be the ones to try and battle it out for the race win. But let's go ahead and take you to the restart once again here at Darlington. Well, we got 5 more cars, I believe. Yeah, 5 more cars out of the race as a result of that last caution. Dylan Jacobs, James Shelley, Bradley Zordrager, Emmanuel Hartnett, and Anthony McCurry. So we're down to 25 cars on track, 12 on the lead lap. And those lead lap cars are the leader, Benjamin Miles, 2nd, Cody Lamas, 3rd, Johnny Gardner, 4th, Jessica Sheldon, 5th, Joshua Collard, 6th, Matt McIntyre, 7th, would be Trent Dunham, 8th, Jake Baskinger, 9th, Melissa Alexander, 10th, Kyle Matthews, and then 11th, Jonathan Zorleen, and then 12th is Dylan Poteet. And then you got all the lap down slow cars in between these drivers. Lamas, he'll have to go by Logan Bradley, who's right now 13th scored. First car a lap down. All you'd have to do is get around him and maybe try and get a run on the 22 as we're getting ready. 10 laps to go here in the Mountain Dew 400 at Darlington. If this was how chaotic the 400-mile race was, I don't know what's going to happen when we get to the Southern 500 later in the season. 12 races from now. But Miles got off to a pretty solid jump on that restart, and just as I was hoping to see for Lamas, going underneath Logan Bradley to get up there and try and get a run on the 22 somehow, and see if we can't get a fight for the race win. Lamas with that little help from the 09 of Rafael Leduc, who's now going to be 13th, the first car a lap down. And then you got Johnny Gardner, Jessica Sheldon up here. Jessica Sheldon, this is her home track, home turf on South Carolina soil. Right now having a great run going up here in the top 5, but she'd like to be able to win this thing, and this would be her 2nd win in the last 3 races. I thought we was under caution. I thought I saw something happen back there, but I guess I'm just seeing things. But Benjamin Miles right now has a bit of a gap right now, and he's got the 09 of Rafael Leduc to separate him from the battle for 2nd now as Sheldon comes underneath Gardner to take that spot. But now she has to get around Rafael Leduc, her teammate, to get up to the back bumper of the 22 of Benjamin Miles as we're still clean and green, 7 laps to go. Gardner and Sheldon are hoping and praying they can get around the 09, although the 09's going to try and get his lap back, and Miles way up the racetrack almost got into the wall, side by side for the lead between Miles and Sheldon. I think Miles led that lap still, and indeed he did, but now Sheldon with that inside lane run goes to the points, 6 laps to go. Now underneath LeDuc to put him back a lap down. Sheldon looking, I'm not entirely sure if she's ever won here at Darlington on this YouTube channel, but this would mean so much to her to win on her home turf of South Carolina and win at the Lady in Black. Although she's about to approach Michael Norman, and you gotta wonder what he's going to do. Is he gonna hold up Sheldon and company or not? No, he's gonna let them go. Smart move. Although now the top 3 have broken away from everyone. And also they've approached James Qualls. Close call right there. And I think that's the last of the slow cars that the leaders are going to encounter. But man, this spread out field as a result of everything that's taken place. But it looks like the win's going to come down to either Sheldon or Gardner, as they're the only top 2 or leading drivers up here at the front, as now Logan Bradley's also up here, and he's the first car a lap down. And then you got a battle going on for 5th between Collard and Lamas. Lamas got the inside line, but is going to fall in line behind the 43. Less than 3 laps to go here at Darlington. Jessica Sheldon maintaining her spot, but you got to wonder if Gardner's going to have anything for the 02 car. I don't know, he's going to have to really dive it low if he's going to have a chance at this. 2 laps to go here in the Mountain Dew 400. And no, I don't think these leaders are going to encounter any more lap traffic for the rest of the race. So it looks like we're going to be good to go, hopefully to the finish. Sheldon took that corner a little bit high, almost got the wall, but still got the spot still. White flag is out here at Darlington for Jessica Sheldon. She won 2 races ago at Talladega, I believe. Don't remember where she finished at Sonoma this past couple days ago, but going for her second win in the last 3 races to my knowledge. Checkered flag waving. Jessica Sheldon wins the Mountain Dew 400 at Darlington Raceway. After a bizarre and chaotic event, it all comes to an end, and Jessica Sheldon survives it all and wins at her home turf at Darlington. But let's look at the rest of the results. Johnny Gardner managed to somehow survive everything, still come through with a top 2 finish in the 2nd position. Joshua Collard, arguably, I think, his best run of the season so far in 3rd. Cody Lamas, despite getting damaged in the first caution, comes through with a 4th place finish. And then Matt McIntyre, I don't know, he might get the points lead. I'm not entirely sure about that, but he might get the points lead as he finished in 5th. Trent Dunham finishing in the 6th position. Benjamin Miles with a solid run in 7th. Melissa Alexander following up that dominating win at Sonoma this past Monday, finishing in 8th. Jake Baskinger, who was top 10 pretty much all night long, and then Dylan Poteet rounding out the top 10 to finish that out. And then there's your top 20, top 30, along with all the damaged cars, and then the rest of the field in the bottom 5 were Seth Cole, Jay Jefferson, Carson Gum, Caleb Kilburn, and Rob Evans. And that does it for our coverage here at Darlington. This Friday, we take a break from points racing as we get set for All-Star Break at Armory Digital Superspeedway. But until then, here are your results, rookie points and regular points heading into All-Star Break. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.